And here we continue with E1M4, that's episode 1, mission 4 for you and me, of our Quake run through, with the Grizzly Grotto. Now, this felt like it was one of the longer levels in the first mission, but really it was just because there's a lot of backtracking, especially if you're going for the secrets. There's also an entrance to the first of a few secret levels in Quake, a special level which I will probably show off at the end of mission of episode 1. Anyhow, diving down to the water here, I will surface for the second secret of the level with this rocket pack here. Now, I'd like to speak a bit about Quake's multiplayer aspect, which is one of the things that sort of kept its longevity when it was first released. It was one of the biggest sort of multiplayer games at that time. I mean, you could play Doom online, you could play it co-op as well as you can play Quake co-op, but it just didn't have the impact that Quake had. You know, with the clients such as Quake World making it easier to connect to multiplayer servers. Also remember a program called GameSpy, which I'm not sure if that's still in existence, which was basically a client searcher for, you know, games like Quake, I believe Soldier of Fortune, you know, Unreal Tournament, various games from that era of that style. Quake, when it was first released, was actually heavily criticised, especially in comparison to games like Duke Nukem, which were considered to be more interactive, more colourful and more vibrant. Of course, I was never really a huge fan of Duke Nukem, to be honest. I mean, interactivity in the levels really consisted of taking a piss in toilets or waving wads of cash at strippers. I mean, there was some fun aspects to Duke, the not teleportation, shrink gun, for example. But to me, it was never a game I got into as heavily as Quake. I actually remember the first time I played Duke Nukem, a cousin of mine came to install it on my first computer that I also first played Quake on, and it came on, I believe it was 27 floppy disks. Took about, you know, best part of an hour to install. Thankfully it was nowhere near that bad in the Quake days, which I bought on CD, along with a big manual in a box that you could build houses out of. Of course, the multiplayer tradition of Quake continues on in the free-to-play. I believe it used to be browser-based. Amusingly, again, these fiends get stuck on the edge of the water before defying gravity, launching themselves in the air. Quake Live, as I was saying, which used to be a browser-based but now requires a separate client. It continues the Quake multiplayer tradition. It's most like Quake 3, Team Arena, which had, you know, weapons like the railgun, which was basically a sniper rifle without the scope, highly accurate, highly damaging, but one shot kind of reload. Yeah, so quite possible to play Quake if you ever want a fix of the multiplayer action. I don't suppose the original Quake has much of a scene these days. I mean, we are talking about a 16-year-old game at this point. Sorry, 20-year-old game. No, 18-year-old game. Sorry, my maths is terrible here. Yeah, 2006 it came out, 18-year-old. Yeah, there's just a little trap sequence here. But first we'll have to open this cage and deal with this lousy fiend. Probably the most dangerous enemy in Quake. Nowhere near as damaging as a shambler, or certainly a group of shamblers, but the difference is that fiends almost always come in groups and can swarm you quite quickly. Now, this is the point where I've killed... Well, I have to admit, I couldn't find the last enemy in this level. I did some reading, and a previous Let's Play of Quake, I had noticed the guy say that despite being able to kill all the enemies in this run, in an earlier playtest, when he went to record his Let's Play, he couldn't find what he believed was one last scrag, the sort of flying snake-like creatures. So, you know, with that in mind, I decided to call it a day and just accept defeat that I couldn't find this very last enemy. Of course, I could finish this level at this point, but there is a little bit of backtracking involved to find this last secret. Dropping into these alcoves from which the ogre shot us, and pushing the nearby switches will reveal a message the secret cave has opened. The secret cave is, of course, back the way underwater. If I turn to the right, I believe, heading up this way will expose not only a slip gate to the secret level I was speaking about earlier, but also the last secret in the level. So from there, it's just a matter of backtracking again, all the way up to the final exit. I thought I'd heard the sound of another enemy at this point, but it turns out it was just phantoms. So with that done, that's the